For 10 years, I was very active around the University of Chicago communities, not just students, but the doctors and nurses and other medical staff. And I was talking about the issue of circumcision. And one day, a fourth-year medical student came up to me and told me that he had seen me the whole time he had been in medical school, and that his wife had just given birth to their first child 6 days earlier, and the boy had been circumcised 4 days earlier. And he told me when he thought about why he had his son circumcised, he said, "It's because I was circumcised." He admitted that he had been taught nothing in medical school about foreskin. He said there was nothing in his classes, there was nothing in his textbooks. And he said he had done some circumcisions in his training, and then he said, "And I've never even seen a foreskin in my entire life." And I said, "Excuse me, you just told me you've done some circumcisions." I said, "You were not blindfolded when you did them. You have seen some foreskins." And he thought about it for a second and said, "Oh, okay. But except for the children he had seen being circumcised and the ones he had done, and maybe a couple other little kids, he had never seen another foreskin, and certainly had never seen a foreskin on an adult." He took some information from me and came back the very next day and said he wished he had talked to me earlier. About 3 weeks later, I saw the chief of pediatric urology at the University of Chicago, and I told her the same story I just said about this fourth-year student. And I said to her, "How can it be that a fourth-year medical student at the University of Chicago can say that he's never even seen a foreskin in his entire life?" And she stood there with a very embarrassed look on her face for about 30 seconds at least, and finally said, "Well, medical students aren't required to do a rotation in urology. And, well, there isn't enough time to teach them everything." And I said, "Excuse me, are you telling me that there's enough time to teach medical students how to do a circumcision, but there is no time at all to tell them anything about the anatomy, development, or functions of a foreskin, and that no national medical organization in the world recommends it, and no other country in the world does this routinely?" And she stood there for about another 30 seconds, looking very embarrassed, and then just turned around and walked away. What could she say? This doctor, by the way, is originally from Australia, where the circumcision rate used to be about 85% and is now closer to 10%. She is well aware that in her native country, circumcision had almost disappeared. And yet, this is how American medicine is teaching our medical students. Thank you.